Hey guys, this is Sam from Snakes on Sam, and today we're going to talk all about ball pythons. So ball pythons are absolutely awesome snakes. Love them to death. They're great personalities, but there are a few drawbacks for this species that if this is your first pet snake or if this is your first reptile, you may want to consider before bringing one home, all right? So we're going to jump into the pros and the cons today in this video. Stay tuned. All right, everybody. So we're going to dive into the pros first because I'm more about the positive. The cons, whatever. But let's talk about the pros. One of the pros of ball pythons that is kind of a boring one, but I think is a really strong pro to the species is the fact that they're readily available anywhere. Anywhere they sell pets, anywhere that they sell reptiles, expos, pet stores, anything, you'll find a ball python. And what's great about that is it eliminates the possibility of getting a wild caught one because the breeding programs for this species is so vast. And so by getting a captive bred ball python, you're ensuring that you're getting a healthy animal, one that doesn't have mites, doesn't have any issues that are associated with being wild caught, and also one that's used to captivity and it's better for the snake anyway. So it's a great positive. You can find them pretty much anywhere and I love it. The next great thing about ball pythons, number 2 on the list, is that they come in different colors or morphs. So when they have a different color or a different pattern, we call it morphs, and that's done through genetic mutations that have been isolated by the breeder. And they come in all different cool colors. Like I have Chico, the banana ball python. He's yellow. The normal ball python that you typically see is black with brown, and they're cool looking. They're very cool looking. But the fact that they've been able to isolate these genes and create all different colors and different morphs and even pure white ones, pure black ones. The piebald is one of the most favorite ones where you see a little smiley face on them with like different blotches, kind of like a cow. And it just makes it unique, a fun experience. Now, the only problem with that is very price dependent if you do want to morph. Some are way more expensive than others. So you can get a ball python for like $30 some places, or you can get a ball python for several $1,000s. And it's kind of hard because, of course, like the really cool ones that you haven't seen before, those are going to be a little bit higher in price. So if you can kind of shop around and figure out what works for you, both budget and also what looks cool to you, then what's the big deal, right? That's not really a con. It's just fun to look at them. And it's kind of addicting too. So a lot of people have multiple snakes for that reason. You know, sorry, this might be your first one. You might get addicted like the rest of us. So I want to move over to my computer to show you what is possible online in terms of purchasing reptiles. So Morph Market is the #1 place to find great breeders and purchase reptiles directly online. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but it's basically eBay of reptile buying. I know, really weird, but it's completely legit and very cool. So if you look on the main page, which we're at right now, we see ball pythons are the #1 category. So let's go ahead and check on that right now. So this whole list of weird sounding words, this is actually all the morphs that are available on Morph Market right now. So when you scroll through and you scroll through and you scroll through, you see there's a lot, right? So there's 222 morphs that are available. You can check them out, see what they have to offer, what they look like. They're changing on the daily. There's always new morphs that are coming out and like combinations and patterns and everything. So it's really cool just checking this out and seeing what breeders are coming up with. I don't even know what some of these are, like a wrecking ball, a rain morph, a redhead. I can imagine what that is, but I have no idea. So it's really cool checking it out. Now, if you're doing this to purchase, you can just go straight to the morph and the type it is. So like, let's say you want banana ball python, click on that, check out and see what they have. Maybe you want to buy one. If you're looking to kind of research and just kind of get an idea of what morphs are out there and what you really would like, the best way to do that is to check out the top left corner right here. So we're in the index right now. You'll see that right there. But if you move to the left of that, you'll see ball pythons. Click on that, and a whole list of over 48,000 ball pythons will come up. I know that's absolutely insane, and it changes daily. So you'll see all different pricing. You'll see some for $95, and it's a beautiful snake. You'll also see some for $4,500. If you want to get fancy, go ahead and check that one out. But that's a lot to spend on the snake, but very cool. The genetics are very rare. That's why. So you'll see all different types. You can go to another page and see what's up there. These are very cool. You'll see, pie balls. You'll see pastel mystic potion ones. You'll see all different types. So there's a lot of cool different reptiles and snakes on here that you can kind of get an idea and a feel for how much each morph costs. It's very, very, very great to use as a learning tool when you're starting out trying to figure out what you want in terms of a ball python. So the third thing that's absolutely awesome about ball pythons is their size. They remain pretty small, but they're still significantly sized. So when people hear pythons, they think they're going to get huge. And there are some pythons, think reticulated pythons. They get huge, but ball pythons do not get huge when they're adults. Boys stay around 3.5 feet to 4 feet comfortably, and then girls will get a little larger at 4.5 to 5 feet. So you can kind of dictate on how big of an enclosure you want, where you want to put the snake, how big of a size of snake are you comfortable with, and you can get a boy or a girl depending on how you feel, which is absolutely cool because you don't want a big snake if this is your first snake. You don't want a big snake if you live in an apartment or in a dorm room or a small house. It gets overwhelming. Cages get really large at some point when you start getting into those like 10-foot snakes. And it's just a great starter snake or a great snake to have in general that will add to your life rather than make it more complicated. The next thing that's so great about ball pythons, number 4, is going to be that they're easy to care for and they're also very, very hardy. Some snakes have all these crazy requirements like 90% humidity and then it causes mouth rot and they need this and they need that. It gets a lot. It gets a lot because there's a lot of things that you have to constantly checking on them. With ball pythons, they just want a standard amount of heat. They need a heat pad. They need a gradient in their enclosure. They need a hide and a little bit of humidity every now and then they're happy. And the great thing too is that if you are looking at the species and do want to know more about their environment and what they need, I have a great care sheet for you to download on my website, Snakes on Sam. Just go to the care sheets tab and you'll find all different species and also some suggestions once you read through there. If you feel like a ball python isn't right for you, there's some other species that you can check out if you feel like those are better for you. So check that out, download that, keep that, and keep that shopping list too when you go in and try to get all this stuff that they need. Now this feeds right into our next pro, number 5, and that's going to be their handleability. They are very handleable. They aren't too squirmy like colubrids, and they're not too quick as well, so you can handle them really easily. They are very, very docile, as we said earlier, and so they're great to hold for kids, for adults. Obviously, with your children, let them hold them with supervision, but they are very great for that reason to have in families and as a family pet. Me personally, I'm not into animals that I have to just look at. I mean, I love them. They're beautiful. I enjoy watching my animals anyways, but I definitely love to interact with my animals up close. That's another reason why people love my ball pythons at reptile shows, because they feel like they can really get to know the snake, they can hold them, and they can interact with them more comfortably than other species. So now you can see why they are so popular and why they're such great snakes to have. They're readily available, they're different colors, they're a great size, they're easily handleable, and they're easy to care for. I mean, what's not to like about them? Well, there's a few things you need to keep in mind, and we're going to start with the first one right here. First one is going to be that they can be picky eaters. So for some people, that can be a scary thing because all of a sudden their snake is eating, they're fine, and then they just go on something called what we call a hunger strike. They decide they don't want to eat. They refuse to eat. And I know that's a weird thing to hear because people have this idea that snakes just want to eat everything in their path, and that's so not true. It's such a misnomer. But these snakes are known to kind of decide, oh, I don't want this, I don't want that, I'm not feeling this today. And so it's something that can stress people out because months can go by where their snake refuses to eat and they've tried everything and they keep trying to feed. And it does get scary for people who do really care about their snakes. And there are some ways around it. In fact, you can check out my video about how to deal with a snake that is a picky eater or one that's refusing to eat, and these weird, kind of gross sometimes tricks you can try to kind of reboot them and get them to eating again, which is so important for their health and also your sanity. I mean, it's stressful. You don't want to deal with that. Number 2 on the con list is actually pretty important. It's going to be that there are some ball pythons that do break the mold of the easygoing ball python personality that everyone knows and loves, and they can be a little bit more aggressive. And that comes down to how they were treated in the past. So some were treated to where they were just more of an ornamental snake and they were stuffed away in a breeder bin or in their cage and they weren't handled. And that's going to make them a little bit wary of these hands of ours, and I totally understand why. So that's why you want to make sure that you talk to a reptile breeder, that you know their background, you know their age, and you get an idea and a sense of, okay, well, what am I getting into? And especially if you're doing it online, because you're not going to have that like first person interaction with them. The other safe route to go, especially if you're a little wary of this snake thing and you're new to it and you want to make sure you get one that you know you can handle, is to go to a store, a reptile store, or you can go to a reptile expo. And there you can talk to the breeder one-on-one. You can also hold the snakes early on so you can kind of see their personality and if they're accepting of being handled or not. The third con you need to consider when purchasing a ball python is their genetic defects that are associated with some morphs. So there's some morphs out there that do have some pretty bad genetic defects. The most controversial of them is the spider gene. So the spider gene is one where it makes a really cool pattern on the snake. However, it can actually make it have a head wobble. So when the snake is hunting or eating, the head can't stay still and it impacts the way they feed. This is something you really need to keep in mind to make sure you get a healthy snake that has a long life ahead of itself. We have now reached our fourth and final con. So this one's not really a con and it's not really a positive. It's like depending on your situation in life, but I want to add it here because it could be a con for some people. So ball pythons live a very, very long time, and you wouldn't think they live that long. They live around 25, 30 years or so. They can live north or south of that too. So if you're getting a snake for a 10-year-old kid, or if you're getting a snake while you're in college or something like that, think of the transition you're going in life and think of how you're going to continue to take care of that animal. That's something that may need to be considered and may not work for you very well. Now there's other animals out there that don't live as long, like lizards, like bearded dragons and such, that may be better fits for you if you don't want to go the snake route. But it's always smart to consider the snake at its full lifespan and also to make sure that you are committed to caring for that animal throughout its whole life. All right, everybody. So we've reached the end of our ball python pros and cons today. I hope it gives you some clarity on what you can expect with ball pythons and what can be the challenges, but also the major positives to owning this species. I hope that by the time you decide to get one, if you decide they're right, that you are prepared and that you're ready to take on this great, great animal in your life. As always, do your research, make sure that you have what you need to take care of these animals, and ask questions to all the pros out there, including myself, if anything does challenge you or confuse you along the way. Awesome. Well, have a great time with your ball python, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.